Okay, so as you can see in ICP in the last couple of days, we got a huge move on the downside and we actually cleared all these lows right in here. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you what is my stance on this move down, and does this mean that we are absolutely bearish or maybe we are overall still bullish. And I'm going to tell you also what I'm thinking in terms of what might be next for the short-term future, and I do have now a more moderate view on it. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you are having a great time with your family and loved ones. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about ICP, I think we were somewhere around these areas, and I was saying, look, it seems like that in ICP, if we're going to get a move on the upside, we are going to have at least one more move down in order to take this low. And in this move down, I do not want to see internet computer to take this low right in here, about $7. So what happened? Definitely not our bullish scenario. Instead, we got a very sharp move on the downside. And by the way, this is not special for ICP. No, in a lot of cryptos, we got huge moves down. For example, in Ethereum, I think the move down that we got is actually much stronger than this move on the downside in ICP. So, you know, this happened in a lot of cryptos, and these types of volatilities are kind of normal in this market. In case that you are a new investor, you should probably get used to these things. Now, if you remember, in the previous videos about ICP, I was saying, okay, if you want to be bullish, you can argue that this is going to be a series of 1-2s, meaning we can say this is 1, this is 2, and then we're going to get big move up into 3, 4, 5, and at that point, this 5 wave up is actually going to be into this larger 3 wave 3, and then correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5. And as long as we're not taking this low, we can remain optimistic and say the bottom is in. Now, obviously, this scenario is invalidated, and I'm going to come up with another possibility that suggests we are having overall a correction structure, and it may have started from this point right in here. Now, question, what is the difference between the current scenario that I'm going to show you and the previous possibility? Well, it comes down to the short-term price action. In the previous scenarios in ICP, I was saying that, let's say we have something like this, 1, 2, and then another 1 or 2. I was saying in here, okay, we do not really have any unfinished business around here, and we can get a sharp move on the upside in order to start another fantastic phase of the bull run in the short term. However, now I'm going to tell you that we need to, in this area, build some sort of a base, and this is unfortunately going to take a bit of time. Again, this is not special for ICP. In a lot of cryptos, we are pretty much in the same kind of situation. And by the way, I wanted to actually say this at the beginning of the video. Couple of videos back, I made a video and talked about this structure right in here, because one of my viewers said that in ICP we are having a head and shoulder, and I was saying, if you mean this head and shoulder, I don't believe this is actually going to do the job, because the targets according to this pattern is going to be somewhere around the $5.50 region, and I'm having quite a hard time believing that we're going to do that. But as you can see, this actually happened, and this, as it turns out, was indeed a head and shoulder structure. So I would like to apologize for what I said in the previous videos. I just wish if that viewer in the previous video in the comments haven't said that I mean this head and shoulder and not this one right in here, because this thing under any kind of circumstances just cannot be considered as a head and shoulder structure. Because if I just go around here, excuse me, in order for you to be able to say that we are having a bearish head and shoulder, you need to see in here an uptrend first, and then in this area, if we get a head and shoulder, something like this, you can argue this is actually a valid pattern. There we go, and we are going to have a decent move down. You cannot say when we are having a move down already, for example, something like this is going to be a head and shoulder and we're going to get a continuation of this move. No, just because we are going down doesn't mean that this is actually a valid pattern. And I think this is the classic example of, if it acts and walks like a dog, then it's a dog. No, this isn't a dog, okay? I just wish you haven't said that in the previous videos. But again, I was talking about mainly this head and shoulder structure, and I was saying this is probably not going to play out. However, it did. So I was definitely wrong on that one, and I'm gonna be the first one to admit that. Now, let's go on some lower time frames and see what is going on. Question: can we argue that the bottom is in right in here? The answer is actually surprisingly yes. You see, if you want to argue, for example, we are going to have our final bottom around this area, maybe this is like a very important support, then okay, off of the lowest low in this region, we must be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up. This specific example is a normal 5 wave. Rules for us are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of impulsive structure, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and for the sub waves, there we go, we must be able to find 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have different scenarios, doesn't really matter. Let's say, yep, ABC into wave 4 and a WXY into wave 2. Understood? Okay, now let's go on the live chart and see what is going on, and maybe we should go on 5-minute time frame in order to see the structures a bit better. So here's a very important point. I do not believe that this is actually an impulsive structure. Instead, I think we may have in this area a correction which has probably started in here, and the end of it might be right around this area, and this can be, if I just take this one, okay, an A, B, C in form of a running flat structure. Now, this initial bounce back, I believe, can be a 5 wave up. This can be a correction for wave 2, decent move up into wave 3. You can argue, yeah, sure, let's say 2, but here we're going to have a correction for 4 and then another move on the upside into wave 5. You can definitely come up with some other possibilities. For example, you can say the end of our wave 3 is going to be in here and then correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5. This is also a valid scenario. The point that I'm trying to make is this. I believe in ICP, we probably have hit the bottom because this move up is quite strong, and in it we can definitely argue that we are having an impulsive structure on the upside. So, you know, for now, let's be optimistic. Now, question: what happens after a 5 wave up? You probably know it if you are a regular viewer. A correction structure on the downside, and I think we may have a correction in here, let's say like an A, B, C structure. So for the next couple of days, if you see another move down in ICP, something like this, do not be surprised. Nothing goes up in a straight way, okay? We should always have pullbacks. It's absolutely necessary. I'm hoping that the next move down in ICP is just not going to be that much of a strong move in order for me to be able to be bullish with quite a bit of confidence and say, you know what, on a higher degree, this is probably wave 1, correction for 2, and the next move, well, it's going to be a big one up into wave 3, 4, 5, and we are going to start a solid upturn. So this is what I'm expecting in terms of short-term price action. Now, in terms of the long-term price action and what is going on, has anything changed in my possibilities? The answer is definitely no. Why is that? Where is the lowest low? It's actually right in here. And what do we have off of it? An unbelievably clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and we counted the subwaves in these areas many times. And I do think that this is probably a wave 1. Now I'm going to say this whole move down is a correction structure into wave 2. And once more, I'm going to tell you, in the long term in ICP, I believe we're going to get a fantastic move up into wave 3 and 4, and I am still 100,000% bullish. And by the way, I wasn't actually one of the investors that bought ICP right around $2 to $3. No, I actually bought Internet Computer right around these areas, and I told you before, my average purchase is somewhere around $8.9. That's why in this move down in ICP, I actually bought quite a bit more, and now my average purchase is somewhere around $7.8. And what am I going to do in case, for example, in the short term, we are going to have some more moves on the downside? Maybe even in order to take this slope, you can definitely bet that I am just going to buy more and more ICP in order to get my average purchase way down, because I am a believer in this project and I do think that in terms of fundamentals, nothing has changed. So if the market is providing me with a fantastic buying opportunity, I'm definitely not going to say no to that. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Internet Computer's chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.